We can use brain reading tools such as fMRI to perform brain mapping, which is to say that we can ascertain which parts of the brain handle critical functions like speech, movement, thought, and others. Hello, my name is Marc Drouinaud Jr. Can AI go against some humankind like iRobot? I don't know. Can Siri start fighting back? Can Alexa start fighting back? Well, let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about this and if it's possible in this video, okay? So this is courtesy of Luke Dormill at Digital Trends. AI becoming self-aware has long been a theme of science fiction. As fields like machine learning have advanced, it become more of a possible reality than ever. After all, today's AI is capable of learning from experience in much the same way as humans. This is in stark contrast to earlier symbolic AI systems that only followed instructions laid out for them. Recent breakthroughs in unsupervised learning requiring less human supervision than ever has only speeded up this trend. Only a limited level of at least modern artificial intelligence is capable of thinking for itself. As far as we are aware, however, conscience has so far eluded it. Although it's now more than 3 decades old, probably the most common invoked reference when it comes to AI gone sentient is Skynet in James Cameron's 1991 movie Terminator 2, Judgment Day. In that movie's chilling vision, machine sentience arrives at precisely 2:14 a.m. Eastern on August 29, 1997. At that moment, the newly self-aware Skynet computer system triggers doomsday for humankind by firing off nuclear missiles like fireworks at a 4th of July party. Humanity, realizing it has screwed up, tries unsuccessfully to pull the plug. It's too late. 4 more sequels of diminishing quality follow. The Skynet hypothesis is interesting for a number of reasons. For one, it suggests that sentience is an inevitable emergent behavior of building intelligent machines. For another, it assumes that there is a precise tipping point at which this sentient self-awareness appears. Thirdly, it states that humans recognize the emergence of sentience instantaneously. As it happens, this third conceit may be the toughest one to swallow. What is sentience? There is no agreed upon interpretation of sentience. Broadly, we might say that it is subjective experience of self-awareness in a conscious individual marked by the ability to experience feelings and sensations. Sentience is linked to intelligence, but it is not the same. We may consider an earthworm to be sentient, although not think of it particularly intelligent, even if it's certainly intelligent enough to do what it is required of it. I don't think there is anything approaching a definition of sentience in the sciences, Lamont said. I'm leaning very heavily on my understanding of what counts as a moral agent grounded in my religious beliefs, which isn't the greatest way to do science, but it is the best I've got. I've tried my best to compartmentalize these sorts of statements, letting people know that my compassion for LAMDA as a person is completely separate from my efforts as a scientist to understand its mind. That's a distinction most people seem unwilling to accept, though. If it wasn't difficult enough not to know exactly what we're searching for when we search for sentience, the problem is compounded by the fact that we cannot easily measure it. Despite decades of breathtaking advances in neuroscience, we still lack a comprehensive understanding of exactly how the brain, the most complex structure known to humankind, functions. We can use brain reading tools such as fMRI to perform brain mapping, which is to say that we can ascertain which parts of the brain handle critical functions like speech, movement, thought, and others. However, we have no real sense of from whence in the meat machine comes our sense of self. As Joshua K. Smith of the UK's Kirby Lang Center for Public Theology and author of Robot Theology told Digital Trends, understanding what is happening within a person's neurobiology is not the same as understanding their thoughts and desires. Let's test the outputs. With no way of inwardly probing these questions of consciousness, especially when the I in AI is potential computer program, and not to be found in the wetware of a biological brain, the fallback option is an outward test. AI is no stranger to tests that scrutinize it's based on observable outward behaviors to indicate what's going on beneath the surface. At its most basic, this is how we know if a neural network is functioning correctly. Since there are limited ways of breaking into the unknowable black box of artificial neurons, engineers analyze the inputs and outputs and then determine whether these are in line with what they expect. The most famous AI test for at least the illusion of intelligence is the Turing test, which builds on ideas put forward by Alan Turing in a 1950 paper. The Turing test seeks to determine if a human evaluator is able to tell the difference between a typed conversation with a fellow human and one with a mechanic. If they are unable to do so, the machine is supposed to have passed the test and is rewarded with the assumption of intelligence. In recent years, another robotics focused intelligence test is the coffee test proposed by Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak. To pass the coffee test, a machine would have to enter a typical American home and figure out how to successfully make a cup of coffee. To date, neither of these tests have been convincingly passed. But even if they were, they would at best prove intelligent behavior in the real-world situations and not sentience. As a simple objection, would we deny that a person with sentient if they were unable to hold an adult conversation or enter a strange house and operate a coffee machine? Both my young children would fail such a test. Passing the test. What is needed are new tests based on agreed upon definition of sentience that would seek to assess the quality alone. Several tests of sentience have been proposed by researchers, often with a view of testing the sentience of animals. However, these almost certainly don't go far enough. Some of these tests could convincingly pass by even rudimentary AI. Take, for instance, the mirror test, one method used to assess consciousness and intelligence in animal research. As described in a paper regarding the test, when an animal recognizes itself in a mirror, it passes the mirror test. Some have suggested that such a test denotes self-awareness as an indicator of sentience. As it happens, it can be argued that a robot passed the mirror test more than 70 years ago. In the late 1940s, William Gray Walter, an American neuroscientist living in England, built several three-wheeled tortoise robots, a bit like non-vacuuming Roomba robots, which use components like a light sensor, marker light, touch sensor, propulsion motor, and steering motor to explore their location. One of the unforeseen pieces of emergent behavior for the tortoise robots was how they behave when passing a mirror in which they were reflected, as it oriented itself to the marker light of the reflected robot. Walter didn't claim sentience for his machines, but did write that were this behavior to be witnessed in animals, it might be accepted as evidence of some degree of self-awareness. This is one of the challenges of having a wide range of behaviors classed under the heading of sentience. The problem can't be solved by removing low-hanging fruit gouges of sentience either. Traits like introspection and awareness of our internal states and the ability to inspect these can also be said to be possessed by machine intelligence. In fact, the step-by-step process of traditional symbolic AI arguably lend themselves to this type of introspection more than black box machine learning, which is largely inscrutable, although there is no shortage of investment in so-called explainable AI. When he was testing LaMDA, Lamont says that he conducted various tests mainly to see how it would respond to conversations about sentience-related issues. What I tried was to analytically break the umbrella concept of sentience into smaller components that are better understood and test those individually, he explained. For example, testing the functional relationships between LaMDA's emotional responses to certain stimuli separately, testing the consistency of its subjective assessments and opinions on topics such as rights, and probing what it called its inner experience to see how it might try to measure that by correlating its statements about its inner states with its neural network activations. Basically, a very shallow survey of many potential lines of inquiry. What do you think? Can AI come back to haunt us? Come back to punch us? Huh? Please let me know your thoughts. Please hit the notification bell. Please hit the subscribe button. See you on the next video.